There are places in Tuscany where time does not simply slow, it folds back on itself entirely, drawing you into a continuum of stone and light and lived history that feels almost impossible to articulate and yet impossible to ignore. This is one of those places, perched on the gentle hills above San Miniato, a medieval town that has watched centuries of Tuscan life unfold across its terracotta rooftops. The estate sits within 6 hectares of land that shift between cultivated garden, open countryside, and whispering woodland. 5 minutes from the old town's ancient streets, and yet the silence here is absolute. The kind of silence that belongs only to properties of genuine seclusion, where the outside world recedes and something older, quieter, and more essential takes its place. The farmhouse itself was born in the early 18th century, constructed during an era when Tuscan rural architecture had reached a kind of quiet perfection, functional, proportioned, enduring. For generations it passed through the hands of the Marchesi Migliorati of Florence, and that aristocratic lineage left its mark not merely in the historical record, but in the very bones of the building. There is a quality of intention here, a sense that those who shaped these spaces understood something about beauty and permanence that we are still trying to recover. Spread across 2 floors and more than 300 square meters, the farmhouse carries its centuries with extraordinary grace. Exposed timber beams and terracotta mezzanine stretch across ceilings as they have always done, casting warm shadows across floors of hand-laid cotto that have absorbed the footsteps of countless generations. Internal arches frame passages between rooms, with the effortless authority of structures built not for effect, but for truth. Decorative pictorial details, rare survivors of another age, emerge from walls with the quiet confidence of things that have outlasted every fashion and see no reason to apologize for it. The principal reception rooms are anchored by a grand salon where a monumental stone and wood fireplace commands the space with the gravity of a historical artifact, drawing everything in the room toward its warmth. The kitchen, generous and deeply traditional in its arrangement, speaks to a way of life in which cooking and gathering are inseparable, a room built for the long, unhurried hours of Tuscan domestic life, rather than mere utility. Throughout the living areas, windows give onto the surrounding green with an intimacy that feels deliberate, as though the house and its landscape have always understood they belong to one another. The 4 double bedrooms occupy the upper reaches of the building with a spaciousness that feels quietly generous, each room framing views of the countryside through windows that act as living paintings, the light shifting through them from the cool clarity of early morning to the long gold of late afternoon, always in conversation with the hills below and the distant profile of San Miniato Basso stretching across the valley. Outside, the farmhouse releases into a garden of approximately 6 hectares, a recede where a pergola offers shade and stillness, where the land moves between cultivated softness and the denser, more untamed character of the surrounding woodland. It is a landscape that rewards unhurried attention, where each hour of the day reveals a different quality of light, a different texture of green, a different relationship between the built and the natural. This is a property that carries its history not as a burden, but as a gift, a place of uncommon depth, atmosphere, and repose, rooted in one of Italy's most quietly extraordinary landscapes.